Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Wellness Blueprints. I'm Jess Milner. I'm so glad you're here to nourish your roots with me. I am a functional blood work specialist and clinical nutritionist. I'm working on my doctorate in natural medicine. And today I want to talk a little bit about a little bit about our thyroid. And when you have thyroid issues, there's a whole bunch of stuff that like goes with that. So some of the things we experience are brain fog, memory, maybe you're having trouble regulating your body temperature, you're having trouble, you're losing weight. And, you go and you have your markers checked and the traditional thing, that the doctors will generally pull is just a TSH. You've probably seen that pulled. Um, and so I just want to talk a little bit about how I go about handling this type of thing, which is a little bit different from the traditional, but that's what you're looking for when you come to see me because you probably already been to all the traditional doctors and you didn't get a ton of help. Or the only thing they could offer you was some medication or something like that. So, of course, I don't treat, cure, diagnose, none of that. And I don't really need to because I just know how to look at your blood work or help you look at your blood work and figure out what things are off, what puzzle pieces we've got there so that we can figure out how to make you go from unhealthy to healthy. It's really, really super easy. And when you know what the body needs and you give it to it, right? So let's kind of take a look. Let's see. So when you go in and you get your TSH, and they tell you that it's fine, or they tell you that it's not fine, and they're looking at it. And the thing with the TSH is that it is a hormone that's actually it's produced by the pituitary gland, not by the thyroid. Now it is relevant because we use it, or we use it. Our pituitary gland uses it to communicate with the thyroid. So your pituitary gland is this little tiny gland inside of your brain. Okay, so your brain health is super important when it comes to your thyroid, even though your thyroid is in your neck. So the pituitary, little teeny tiny thing, is probably like an inch big, and it's in the middle of your brain, and it talks to the thyroid. So when the TSH goes and it talks to the thyroid, and then the thyroid produces free T4. So it's really awesome if you can get that marker too. And then the free T4 converts into free T3. So free T3 is super important because it goes out and talks to all the cells in the body. So that's what is going to help regulate your body temperature. That is what's going to tell your body to speed up metabolism so that you can properly digest your food, and not hang on to everything. You can lose weight. So it's very important that all of these things are working properly. So if your TSH is off, and the markers for TSH by conventional medicine is like it's between zero point 0.5 and 5.5, and that is just like a really, really, really huge range. It's kind of like trying to pinpoint, your favorite restaurant or find between New York City and Los Angeles, California. It's huge. There's just a huge, huge, vast area there. So I like to break it down, in much smaller, and between 1.8 and 3.0 is where I want to see it. So if it's off there, then I am wondering not what's wrong with the thyroid, but what's going on with the pituitary. Why is the pituitary upset, right? So the pituitary, stress, inflammation, those kinds of things are going to cause it to be stressed out, and those are kind of buzzwords, everybody, oh, stress, oh, inflammation. Inflammation's caused all over the place by, foods we eat, stuff we put in and on our bodies, and, outside stress, and how we're able to deal with that. And of course this all ties it, like, do we have enough of our happy chemicals and everything so that we're not getting stressed out over smaller things, is all connected. So it's a big circle here that we're making. So uh, uh, above the pituitary in the ranks here is the hypothalamus. So the hypothalamus is going to talk to the pituitary. So if we move up there, then we see what is it that's going to fuel the hypothalamus, and that's going to be serotonin and dopamine, those happy chemicals that we've heard all about. Okay, those happy chemicals. So now there's two different things that go on here a lot of the time in conventional medicine. They will either prescribe you T4, T3, or a combination of the two, or some people might go out and get a synthetic form of serotonin or dopamine and take that to fuel from that direction. Now, fueling from the top from that direction is the best way to go, but I would not recommend just going out and getting the serotonin and dopamine, and I'm going to explain why. So, just moving back to giving the the T4 and T3 in a medication, the thing with that is, it is telling because you're feeding from the bottom up at that point. If you kind of can imagine, the hypothalamus is at the top, and then you have the pituitary in the middle, and the thyroid, and then everything going out from there with the T4 going into T3 and then out into the body. If you're feeding from the bottom like that, then it's just kind of telling in the middle, oh, we don't really need to do anything else with TSH because we're already getting what we need. So we don't, so it's not actually going to fix anything. Okay. Now, if you don't have a thyroid, if you had to have that removed, then you will have to take that medication because your body can't produce the T4 and T3. So, if you don't have a thyroid, then of course it doesn't apply to you. But I have seen multiple people be able to reduce or go off of their thyroid medication when we start to feed from the top instead. And the way that we want to feed from the top is, of course, yes, the serotonin and the dopamine. But where do we produce serotonin and dopamine? Most of it is produced in your gut, in your belly, in which is your immune system. It's your second brain or your first brain, depending on who you're talking to. Okay, because so much goes on in that gut. So when you're not producing serotonin and dopamine in the gut very well because your gut microbiome is off, when you are, or if you have, leaky gut and things are getting in and out that aren't supposed to, and things are getting, all of those things, then you're not going to be able to get those chemicals, whether to be made properly or transported to the brain. You need minerals and everything. If you're not absorbing stuff because the microbiome in your belly is not good, then it's not going to absorb, and it's not going to get to your brain. So, I mean, sometimes people notice, if you're, like like a big birthday party or something like that, you eat a whole bunch of cake, or, you just kind of like pig out on all like the sweets and stuff like that. The next day you're kind of like, oh, you're kind of, not like it's kind of like a grain hangover. We call it like a grain brain, but you're kind of feeling like, oh, I kind of suck, you might be a little down, that sort of thing. And it's because your gut microbiome is a little out of balance because of all the stuff that you ate the day before. And I'm not telling you you can't have cake at a birthday party. That's not what I'm saying at all. Uh, but when you overdo it or something, like maybe, you go to like Christmas time or something, you start to feel like this bit of depression and everything, and then like the day after Christmas, you have that time in between Christmas and New Year's where you're just like, I don't know what day it is. I should eat a vegetable. Like everything's weird. And a lot of that is, it's because like you suddenly don't have a dopamine thing going on anymore. You have this anticipation, this excitement that you're leading up to, and all this, like, dopamine and happiness and everything going on throughout the season. And then the next day it's totally gone. Plus you ate all of these sweet things. So you're like double time, not really able to produce the serotonin and dopamine that won't make you feel happier. You know, uh, so we want to make sure that the gut is doing well so that those things can be produced. Now, also, I had mentioned that free T4 has to convert into free T3. So where do we think that happens? It also happens in the gut and also in the liver. So gut and liver, and they work together a lot. Of course, the liver is going to detoxify lots of things out of the body, but it also has a lot to do with your digestive system, and helps immensely in all of that too, because everything is interconnected. There's nothing in your body that doesn't depend on something else within your body. So, what I like to do is go through and fortify, nourish the gut so that the microbiome is better balanced out. And then what happens is you end up having less issues with things like brain fog and memory and everything. And then, of course, your thyroid starts to produce better, you starts to be faring better. You will be able to lose weight more easily. You're able to control your body temperature. You may or may not be able to eat gluten depending on, where you are in your thyroid health. Some people just do better by avoiding that altogether for long periods of time. And other people can sneak it back in depending on, the source and the frequency. But yeah, so when you look at things from this way, you realize that it's just all, I mean, it's the gut. Like everything, really almost everything that has to do with your health is going to come down to a healthy gut. It's not the only thing, of course, but it's definitely one of the forefronts. It's something that, if you're not paying attention to that, anything else you're paying attention to is not really going to work. It is that bottom part of your detox funnel. You have your gut down at the bottom. You want to make sure that you're pooping, and then it goes up to your kidneys and liver, and then lymphatic system, and then into all of your cells. So if you are working on cellular detox and lymphatic detox, and you're working on kidney and liver detox, but you're not paying attention to your gut and that's not moving properly, it's going to get like backed up and spill over. So we don't want that to happen. So one of the other things that's been super interesting, I have been reading multiple studies, and it's not really a huge big secret that a lot of the time, if somebody has thyroid issues, or there's thyroid issues within a family, they often struggle with symptoms like ADHD symptoms or something similar to that, whether it's diagnosed or not. Now, the two things are not necessarily completely related. There's not totally, there could be a correlation there, but they definitely overlap. And the reason really, I mean, because when your gut is not happy, you're not producing the serotonin and dopamine, and you're going to have a lot, like I just walked in this room, like, why the fuck am I in this room? I don't remember why I walked in here. I mean, like for me, I find myself doing that multiple times a day. I will stand up from a table and take 2 steps, and I'll stand there and I freeze. And my daughter's like, "What's the matter, mommy?" And I'm like, "I just got up. There was something I was just about to do and I can't remember what it is." And I literally have to like stand there, close my eyes, not let anybody talk to me for like 20 seconds while I try like really hard, just concentrating to figure out what it was. And it was probably like I was going to get this piece of paper, or I needed this pencil, or I was going to take something out of the freezer to make for dinner. It could be anything. So, symptoms like that, will start to be more manageable. They will start to decrease more, so that I mean, if you have a neurospicy brain like me, it's not going to just go away. You are going to still have those kinds of symptoms. You're still going to have those kind of days where you have, executive dysfunction and you think everybody hates you, but they will be much easier to manage, and it won't be quite as frequent. And, I've definitely noticed a huge difference in myself and in my kids and everything by just focusing on this. So that's one of the super awesome things about it. It's certainly not like a cure, because it's just how your brain works. So, it's not even like there's something wrong. It's just these are the things that go on. So they definitely overlap a lot, because some of those same things with memory and brain fog and everything, those, and fatigue, anxiety. Okay, like when you're, I I don't know if you've ever noticed yourself, but if my belly is not happy, I've been having like a couple of days where everything's just kind of kind of hurts and whatever. Um, those days definitely, the anxiety, the depression start to amp up. And that is just because that serotonin and dopamine, it's not having its chances to do everything that it needs to do. So we fortify from the bottom up, and everything starts to work better. And if you have thyroid issues in your family, then you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. You're like, "Oh my gosh, you're talking about me." And yeah, I'm talking about you. I'm talking about me. I'm talking about multiple people in my family, multiple people that I know. And, that's why I'm here. I've had to somehow manage to figure this out on my own throughout my life. And now I'm here to help other people. I'm like, all right, how can I help other people figure out how to do this for themselves too? Like, you don't necessarily have to do everything exactly the same as me, but I can empower you to take all of this back, because really, what this is amounting to is you don't really have control over your body and over your life, and you should, because I mean, each and every cell in your body, I've said it before, each and every cell in your body is basically its own living entity. So if that is the case, then you're basically like, you are like the supreme being over all of the cells in your body. So talk to them, tell them what to do. My thyroid produces T4, and my gut and liver easily converted into T3. My gut loves to produce serotonin and dopamine, and there's always plenty of it in my brain. And I can remember things easily. just telling your cells all of these positive things instead. As silly as it sounds, this kind of stuff really makes a huge difference. It really does. And sometimes even when I get down on myself about stuff, my husband can be like, you know what, I'm going to tell you exactly what you would say to me. I don't really like your attitude right now because you know that this is not correct. And you know that you need to speak more positively about yourself. He will catch a couple of things that I say, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right. So, and I mean, he's not always right, and I'm not always right either, but but there are times when, I catch myself, and when I start to look at things from a different outlook, things do start to improve. So, yeah, it's really all connected, and it's really super fun. So, if you want to know more, you can book a discovery call with me. Get on over into my world. I've got a Facebook group that you can join. You can find me at Deep Rooted Wellness on Facebook and join my Facebook group, Deep Rooted Wellness Warriors. I'd love to see you in there. And go ahead and subscribe, leave me a review, tell your friends, and stay tuned because there's going to be so much more awesome stuff here with me and with you. And I'm just so excited that you're here in my world. But I just wanted to share a little bit about that. You have yourself a beautiful day.